Welcome to A Chef's Grimoire, Spring. Today we'll be working with death.
So in all my videos, I like to start with the Major Arcana page simply because we can see how far we've come in the journey. Our Fool card is here, numbered 0, and they are the ones that make this journey through all of the Major Arcanas, all 21 cards. We started with this line, which is the line of consciousness. The second line is the line of subconsciousness, which is where we are now. We are with the card Death. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I am going to give you symbolism and history of the Death card. If you wish to fast forward to the making of the recipes, because we have a lovely menu today, then timestamps are in the description box, as well as, if you want to scroll down at the bottom of the video and just use your finger to go right through to get to the part of the video you want to view. So with that, let's go to the Death card now. So this is the Death card page, and as the Fool's journey continues, so does the story. So I'll read through the story, and then we'll get into the very deep symbolism in the actual Rider-Waite-Smith deck card depiction here. As the Fool enjoyed the bread and ale left by the guards, they heard the sound of a horse whinnying in the distance. The horse hooves against the ground began to get louder. They heard a woman sighing and an older man saying prayer in Latin. Maybe there's going to be another hanging today, thought the Fool. The sun is setting. I best go home. The Fool starts to walk out of the grove of trees towards the village when they come face to face with the white war horse and Death. I have been sent because I heard transformation experienced while hanging was epic. And you are now ready to go back to your old way of living. But I am here to tell you, Fool, that you have not fully finished the transformative journey, and there is one more question I need you to answer before I can decide your fate. Tell me, Fool, do you fear me? No. My journey has taken me through much. And after 2 days on the gallows, I have become lighter, with a new perspective on my life and on the life I wish to have going forward. I do not fear you, because I know that dying is part of living. To every loss, there is a gain, and for every ending, there is a new beginning. Very good, Fool. Well said. Now, what are your plans for the future? Asks Death. I want to live an authentic life. I had much time to think, and now I understand the error of my ways. I have been living vicariously through others and not being true to myself. I have grown, and now I understand that change is inevitable. Instead of walking down any old path, carefree and ignorant, I know that there are consequences that could affect both me and those around me. So it is my goal to make sure that those consequences are positive for the good of everyone involved. I may not seem different in a physical sense. I still look the same, still live in the same village, and will do many of the things I have done in the past, but inside, I have changed. I see clearly now, and will continue my journey with open eyes and an open heart. The Fool's words are heartfelt, and Death is convinced that their shift of consciousness is on the right path. Go, Fool. Your time is not yet come, and your transformation is now complete. Trust in the cycles of life and fear them not. Embrace change, as it is the essence of life and through it, you will find growth and renewal. With that, death marches forward, and the Fool begins their walk back home. So we'll now talk about a little symbolism here. First of all, the Death card is numbered 13. As you know, numerology is very important to the tarot. 13 is a magical number. Many fear the number. Many think that it is full of evil or bad luck or many other things. But think of it this way. We've gone 0 through 12. And we know that 12 is the cycles. It's not only the cycles of life, where there's 12 hours in a day and 12 hours at night. There are also 12 zodiacal signs in the wheel of the astrology. And there's 12 months in a year. So 12 is very cyclical. When we reach 13, it's the cycle that has been completed, and now we're ready to move on to something new. So 13 is a beautiful number. It's new beginnings. It's the keywords of this card, which are symbolic ending or close, letting go, transitioning, new beginnings sprouting from endings. The astrological sign for the Death card is Scorpio, which couldn't be more fitting. Scorpio is all about transformation. They are the most transformative sign in the zodiacal wheel. Interestingly enough, there are 3, probably 4, I think there's actually 4, but there's 3 main spirit guides that are associated with the sign of Scorpio. The first one that everybody is very familiar with is the scorpion. And even in the glyph for Scorpio itself, it's an M with the little tail at the end of the M that's up, like a scorpion tail. So this is the most iconic. However, Scorpio also has the bald eagle and the snake. Now the scorpion for Scorpio and for this card is all about destruction and sudden destruction. So obviously you get stung by a scorpion, you're not going to live very long. So it strikes and it's fierce. The snake is pretty much the same. I mean, all of these have the ability to strike quickly without, its victim knowing. So when we get to the snake, however, the additional component that the snake brings into play is the fact that it sheds its skin. So it transforms and it becomes brand new. So that is huge because really when it comes down to it, that's what this card is all about. Now, the eagle is freedom to break through boundaries for change. So our winged friend has the ability to just fly, to go, to see new sights, to get a new perspective, and just as said, to break through those boundaries. The planet associated with the Death card is Pluto. And Pluto, even though it's almost the newest planet, I think there's one more that's just been discovered, but Pluto is pretty much the newest planet in our solar system, of discoveries anyway. But the planet is all about transformation and change. Pluto it blows things up. So if Pluto is next to another sign, like say Saturn is all about stability and regime. And if Pluto is next to it, it's going to make those things even more strict. So it expands everything. And it also has the ability, just like these 3 beautiful animals or reptiles and winged friends, to strike at a moment's notice, to create huge changes. So we're getting to a theme here, yes? You understand a little bit of theme that's going on here, not only with the characters, but the astrological signs associated with the card and the number. So as we move on, we'll go to the actual depiction of the card. This is taken directly from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. My colors might be a little bit different, but and I extended it a little bit just for the vast real estate I have on my page, but it's all here. So we'll go through it one by one. We'll start with our friend here, Death. He's a skeleton in a suit of armor. Now, the skeleton is the body part that survives long after the flesh has dissipated from it. So it is the thing that we dig up thousands of years later, yes? Unless it's eaten, it has the ability to last for centuries and centuries and centuries. The last part of us that survives. Now, the armor that Death wears is basically symbolic for there's no escaping death, no matter how you try. Even if you put on a full suit of armor, death will find you. It's inevitable. Now, funnily enough, the character of Death itself has been depicted in millions of ways throughout centuries, but the iconic figure is always a skeleton in a black robe, and they are usually carrying a scythe. Now, a skeleton plus the scythe. The scythe was a symbol for grain and agriculture, which was really 90% of the population back in medieval times were farmers, some kind of agriculture. So the Grim Reaper, which is that iconic symbol of death, came to be during the Black Plague, which was around 1347, 1351. It lasted quite a long time, almost 10 years. And in that time, nearly 25 million people died. Think about that, just for a minute. That's incredible. So death was around you. It was basically part of your day-to-day life. And because it was so prominent, there had to be some kind of representation for it. And that became the skeleton wearing the black robe, carrying a scythe. And the scythe was the symbol for grain. Now, grain, if you didn't do your due diligence and farmed your fields and plowed your fields and grew your grain, you were going to die because you wouldn't have anything to sustain you through the winter. So that's why grain is so associated with the death symbol. As we talked about in the Justice card with the scales, wheat and grain were your form of payment. So it would be weighed, and the value or the weight of that grain would be what you could trade, what you could eat. It, again, sustained you through hard times. So being without it and having that scythe that basically makes harvesting easier, death is using it because they're harvesting the souls of those that are going to go to the afterlife. So there's that symbolic union between the scythe being an agricultural product and the scythe being a product of death. Now, sometimes in different cards, you'll see death holding an hourglass. And that again symbolizes that time is not on your side. Time is going to run out eventually for everyone. So the horse that death rides is always described as a pale horse. Now we're going into the 4 horses of the apocalypse. In the New Testament, Book of Revelations, 4 horsemen appear with the opening of the first 4 of the 7 seals. And that brings forth the cataclysm of the apocalypse. Once the 7th seal is broken, the apocalypse will happen, according to scripture. But within the first 4 of the 7 seals, they talk about death. And the way they do that is they describe the 4 horsemen. So the first one is conquest, a conqueror with a bow and a crown that rides a white horse. Then we have war. War carries a great sword and rides a red horse. Famine carries balance, scales, and rides a black horse. Then there's death, who rides a pale horse and has no weapon. They don't need it. Death is death. So you don't need any weapon. Now, I was trying to find what the horse's name is, and I came across in my research, I came across 2 names. One that just made me laugh. The horse's name is called Binky, B-I-N-K-Y. Binky, for death's horse. I don't know if that's true. I took it from a reputable source, though. Now, the other name for a horse, for the Grim Reaper, when the Grim Reaper is pictured riding a horse, is called Despair, which I think is much more fitting. Sometimes in the past cards that we've gone through, I've talked about how some of the characters in that card make a cameo appearance further on in the Journey of the Fool. The white horse, when we get to the Sun card, there's a child riding a white, or I should say pale, because it's not really white, pale horse. Is it the same horse? Is it that death has their own revival and is transformed into a child in the Sun card? It's a question we'll hopefully answer when we get to that card. The other characters that make a cameo elsewhere are this mother and child. The other time we see the mother and child is in the Judgment card, which again, we haven't gotten there yet. But I just want to put it out there so that when we get to that card, we can talk about it again. Now there's one other card where this mother and child are found, and that is the 6 of Swords, which is a minor arcana. But if it's true that they're here in the Death card, they're in the 6 of Swords, and they're in Judgment, these 2 have their own journey that they're going through, just like the Fool. So it's very interesting, the correlations. The flag with the white rose on it is enormous, right? It makes a statement. So it obviously is a very important detail to the card. Now, it's a white rose with 5 petals. And white is always symbolic of purity. So once you die, your soul is pure. 5 is also the number of change. The first time we see a white rose in the major arcanas is with the Fool. The Fool is carrying a white rose when they are taking their first steps on their journey. In researching the white rose and its history, it was carried in the Battle of the War of the Roses, which was back in the 1300s. It was a civil war in England that lasted nearly 30 years. And it was the civil battle between the families of York and Lancaster, and they were obviously fighting for the crown. Now, the cadet branch of the House of Lancaster was the House of Plantagenet. That might sound familiar. Henry VIII's father was from the House of Plantagenet. Now, Henry VII's mother was descendant of John of Gaunt, who was the son of King Edward III and founder of the House of Lancaster. Now, Henry VII, Henry VIII's father, won the crown by killing the heirs of the House of Lancaster. And once the heirs were dead, then they rightly became the next king. And when they did so, the bonding of the Plantagenet family and the York family was a union. And then this white rose became the Tudor rose because it now is the Tudor dynasty. And the Tudor rose is red on the outside and white on the inside. So it's a blending of the two families. And the Tudors, as you may or may not know, ruled England for nearly 113 years. A long time. So that's a little bit of the history here. Now, why am I telling you the story of King Henry VIII? Well, because of this symbol here, the white rose that's 5 petals. And the history does go back to that point in time. But it's a story that shows that, everything has an end and everything has a beginning. And because the story of the Tudor rose and or the white rose, the 5-petaled rose, the rose of Yorkshire, really, is so prominent is because it was such a bloody battle for such a long time. And it ended in a union. It ended in one dynasty ending and a brand new one beginning. You'll see the setting sun here. Now, is it setting or is it rising? Well, it depends on who you talk to. I think it's setting, which really brings this whole page home and the whole death card home, yeah? Because a setting sun means, again, going back to the numbers and the cycles, that the sun has completed its cycle. It rose in the morning, it was there all day, and now it's setting at night. So the cycle of the sun's path is now complete, is ending, and a new day is on the horizon. Remember how we were talking about how cameos are in other cards? Well, take a look at these towers here. When we get to the moon card, you'll see these guys again. So when death comes to find you, how will you receive it? We don't know. But these are the ways that, the most common ways that people receive death. So we'll go through them one by one. First, we have the king here. He's laying on the ground. His crown is off his head, just on the earth, strewn away from his body. All this means is you can't take it with you. No matter how rich you are, no matter what kind of jewels or fancy cars or fancy clothes you have, it doesn't matter. When death comes to find you, it does not matter. So the king here symbolizes that death is the great equalizer. We're all going to die. And this king is representative of our ego. So when we go, our ego goes. So the best you can do in life is be kind to others. then we're talking about this mother here, or the young girl. And the young girl is the denial of death. You see, she's looking away. Now, this is symbolic of our obsession with youth, because she's a young, pretty girl. And when death comes to find you, you lose that youth. And that is something we all fear. Nobody wants to get old. And nobody wants to lose their youth, their vitality. So that is what this character represents. Our religious friend here, he represents our spirituality. And it looks like he's kind of bargaining with death. Maybe don't take me today, take me 10 years from now. What do you think? Let's strike up a bargain here. And just like in the story, where death is hearing the fool speak about how they've gone through a transformative state and that they're willing to start anew with a new life that is bringing in all of the understanding and the consequences that may or may not have effect on them and those around them. So going back to spirituality, how spiritual are you? And I don't mean, Bible spiritual. I mean, how understanding are you of the cycles of life? And do you embrace them? Then we have the young boy here. And the young boy is holding up a bouquet of roses and offering it to death. So they are extremely open to death coming in on the horse. As a matter of fact, they're even excited about it. So this boy represents our inner child, because our inner child is always the spark of something new in our lives. It's always the wanting of nothing but good, nothing but good for us, good for everyone involved. Now, the last little thing I want to point out here, if you haven't seen it, is the little boat. See the boat on the river? Now, the boat is, again, going back to the Minor Arcana and the Six of Swords. There is a boat that carries a mother and child off to a new adventure. But this boat on the water symbolizes uncharted territory, places and experiences that we've yet to experience. So, in a nutshell, when we're talking about death, all the symbolism will go to this boat, yes? Because it's a symbol for we are here, we are in the experience of being human, and we're living our lives. So just like the story, we need to make sure that our lives are not only about us, but about others, and being aware of the consequences that our actions take. And we should always chart new territories, new waters, because we don't know how long we have here. So it's best to always explore, always keep your eyes open, just as the Fool says, right? I see clearly now, and will continue my journey with open eyes and an open heart. And those words are basically the golden ticket for death to say, "Go, fool, your time has not yet come and your transformation is complete." The death card. We have to feed all these people here because maybe not him, because he's dead, but these guys are hungry and the Fool is on their way home. So we need to make sure that we give them a good meal. So how do you menu plan for death? Well, I did a little research and I looked to, I found a whole bunch of different things that really were interesting. And the one thing that I found was foods that people bring to funerals, which, yeah, it's a thing. Hey, when you go to a funeral, you of course want to nourish those that are suffering because they can't think past their, they can't think past their nose. They are in grief, and you want to make sure that they survive, yes? So our menu for today, with funerals in mind, is pan de Meurto, vampire chicken, funeral potatoes, and black tahini fudge. Let's get to it. We don't know how much time we have left.
Mise en place for our starter is warm milk, bread flour, instant dry yeast, and sugar. For our bread, we have eggs, butter, bread flour, sugar, anise seeds or fennel seeds, salt, orange zest, and orange blossom water. To the bowl of the stand mixer, you're going to add the warm milk, the bread flour, the instant yeast, and the sugar. This is all for the starter, not the bread. You're going to give it a good mix and let that sit for about 45 minutes to bloom. When it's bloomed, you'll know because it'll look like a soft pillow. To it, you're going to now add the rest of the bread flour and all of the bread ingredients except the butter. So in goes the fennel and the salt, the orange zest, the orange blossom water. Oh, this smells so amazing. And eggs. Now I have a paddle attachment to the stand mixer. I'm going to just mix with the paddle and then I'll switch out to the dough hook. Now, I must apologize. I forgot to film putting in the butter. So knead for 10 minutes at medium. And then when you put the butter in, you're going to add it 3 tablespoons at a time until the dough incorporates all the butter. The whole process takes about 20 minutes, and you're adding the butter after the first 10. When your dough is finished, it'll look something like this. It's very supple and soft, not sticky. As a matter of fact, it has a sheen of butter over it. Cover it with plastic and let it rest for an hour and a half. When time is up, you're going to lightly, when I say lightly, maybe like a tablespoon or less of flour on your surface, and with floured hands, go in after the bread and let it pool onto the very little bit of flour you have on your surface. We're going to pat it down a little bit, and then you're going to fold it on itself once and pat that down, and then take another side and fold it again. Now you're going to shape it into a nice big ball. Now I hope you didn't wash your stand mixer bowl because we're going to put it back in the bowl, cover it again, and put it in the fridge for up to 4 hours or overnight. About 2 hours before you're ready to bake, you're going to get a food scale and you're going to put it to grams and make sure it's at 0. Now I'm going to line my scale with a little plate just to keep the scale clean, and then I'm going to tare, T-A-R-E, out the weight of the plate. Now we're looking for a measure of 80 grams. This is going to be the base. Now, I decided to do 13 little buns versus 2 big loaves, but I give you instructions on the website of how to do both. Cupping the dough, roll it around on the counter with your hand until it becomes a nice soft ball. And continue with the rest of the dough until you have 13 80-gram pieces. Now with the rest of the dough, we're going to weigh it out to be 20 grams for each piece. And it's going to be a little give or take here, a little off, a little on, a little off, a little on, until you get the knack. And then as you go, you're going to hit the nail on the head each time, I promise. Once you have all your 20-gram balls made, you're now going to break them into 3 7-gram pieces. Now we have 3 7-gram pieces. I'm going to take one of the 7-gram pieces and I'm going to roll it into a rope. Once the ends of the rope start to jut out from my 3 fingers are going to roll, spread a little bit so that I come out with a rope-like shape that resembles bones. Just like that. Now take your base and flatten it just a little bit if you haven't already done so, and then put the strip of bones on top. We're going to take that second 7-gram piece and do the same thing. Roll, spreading your 3 fingers until you you'll feel when it's a rope that's tight with the bulbous pieces in the middle of your fingers that are spread. And then take that and put it crosswise over the first. The little 7-gram ball that's left is going to be rolled with that cupping action and set right on top. That's our skull. He's ready to rise. Now just do that 12 more times. When your little buns are ready, they should look something like this, and let them rise for about 45 before you bake them. When the breads come out of the oven, you're going to let them rest at least 10 minutes for the buns, 20 minutes for a loaf. You're working quickly here with the melted butter. Do 1 application of butter, then a sprinkle of sugar, and a second application of butter, and a generous second application of sugar. Here we go. Pan de Meurto. I really wish you could smell these. Well, when you bake them, you'll smell them. Your whole house just smells like orange blossom. It's for something that's called death bread or bread of the dead. It makes your whole house come alive with the smell. It's wonderful. Well, needless to say, I'm excited about trying these, so I'm going to try this guy right here. Pan de Meurto. There's the little head, little bones. Came out great. Yay. A lot of time. Well, when you're thinking about death, right? You have lots of time, so baking the bread. I also think while the time is passing, of course, you're going to do other things. You're going to take the dog for a walk. You're going to go grocery shopping. You're going to do what you need to do. But in the process, it's also, you're making this as a dedication to those who passed. So you should be also mindfully thinking about all the wonderful things that those that passed gave to you. And that's what this bread represents. In Easter, when you get your chocolate bunny, the first thing you do is bite off its head. We're going to take the head off. Yummy, 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 yummy. Oh, that's really good. So in theory, what we did was we made brioche. And we just added accoutrements to the brioche dough. And then we sugared it. Yeah, I believe that's exactly what these are. They're really yummy. Now, like I said, I wouldn't serve these with a savory meal. I wouldn't serve these with a savory meal because they're sweet. They're like a breakfast bread. So enjoy them in the beginning of the day or after the sun sets at the end of the day. That's probably better, right? All right, I'm going in for a big bite. Ready? I'm so proud of myself. Look at how it rose. It's so good. How could bread that's slathered with butter and coated with sugar not be good? Come on. So, if you have 2 days to spare, make pan de Meurto, and while you're doing it, think of the people that have passed in your life. Think of maybe pets that have passed in your life, and wish them well, and know that you'll be seeing them. I can't say when, but you'll see them eventually. We have chicken thighs that have been trimmed of excess fat, about 3 heads of garlic peeled, vegetable oil, I'm using grapeseed, butter, fresh thyme, a bay leaf, white wine, and chicken stock. Now I have a cast iron getting hot, and I'm going to season my chicken thighs with salt and pepper. We're going to add the butter. Now the pan is hot, so you got to work quick here. Got to add the oil to the butter. That helps it not burn. And then we're going to add the chicken skin side down, that seasoned side down, into the pan. Leave a little bit of air gap between the chicken pieces if possible. Now with the unseasoned side facing you, you're going to season it up with salt and pepper. We're letting the chicken cook probably around 4 minutes per side, or until it's golden like this. The second side you're going to cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. When that's done, you're going to add all the garlic, making sure the pieces are on the bottom of the pan, not on top of the chicken. Add the sprigs of thyme. The bay leaf, and you're going to deglaze everything with white wine. Let that bubble, let the alcohol cook off a little bit, maybe a minute or 2, maybe even less, and go in with a little chicken stock. Cover the pan and have your oven ready at 350. You're going to bake this for an hour and a half. Once it's finished, the smell is out of this world. Take the chicken out of the pan, and you're going to notice that the liquid has reduced quite a bit, even in this heavy-duty pan with a heavy-duty lid. But that's okay, because you're going to build a pan sauce now. So remove your chicken and let that rest on a plate. And to the pan that's now over a medium flame or medium heat on the stovetop, add the rest of the chicken broth and the rest of the butter. And let that melt down and turn into a glorious sauce. Now, this is entirely up to you, but you're looking to bring the sauce to a consistency you like. I prefer a little thicker, so I'm going with my little spatula and seeing when I can scrape through and see the defined bottom of the pan. And at that point, your sauce is done. Our funeral potatoes consist of hash browns that have been defrosted, cheddar cheese shredded, butter that's been melted, corn flakes, granulated onion, salt, cream of chicken soup, and sour cream. Now we're going to add the sour cream to the bowl, followed by the condensed cream of chicken soup, 3 tablespoons of butter, pinch of salt, the granulated onion, and give it all a mix. This is the base. Now we're going to add the hash browns, the cheddar cheese, and mix it all up until it comes together. Now you're going to pour it into your vessel, making sure that it's in an even layer. And we're going to take the corn flakes and spread them evenly on top. Now with the rest of the butter, you're going to go in. I like to use a tablespoon just so I get it all even around there, but make sure it's evenly distributed. Here we go. Gorgeous vampire chicken and funeral potatoes. A match made in heaven, right? Ha ha, get it? All right, so first up, vampire chicken. Good thing I'm not going to be around anybody for the next couple days. All right, get a good piece of garlic in there. And the chicken with skin. Oh. Chicken, literally, I had to cut it up because, you don't want to see me figuring out how to cut and pick up and eat a bone-in chicken thigh on camera. So I cut it up and I didn't even need a knife. I could have just used my fork because it fell off the bone. Literally. So tender. The garlic, of course, roasted garlic is so super sweet, savory, garlicky, delicious. So after I added the white wine, you could add a lot more chicken stock. I only used a half cup. And in the cooking process, even with the lid on the cast iron pan for an hour and a half, the liquid definitely reduced to just a scrape, like nothing. So you could add more chicken stock. I decided not to because I wanted everything to really infuse flavor. When you make your pan sauce, that's where you can add the rest of the chicken broth, which is what I did. And then it's up to you how thick or thin you want the end result of your sauce. But I think what I've done is very nice. There is enough sauce to, give a little bit on the plate without it being runny. And it's so full of flavor. Oh, so full of flavor. So good. Now, we're gonna try these funeral potatoes. I don't know what the big deal is about them, but they seem to be the it thing. I don't know. So let's try them and see what the verdict is. Okay. I mean, they're good, but I've certainly had better. They're very sour creamy. My thought is to pull back on the sour cream a little bit and maybe do more of the condensed chicken soup, because I can't taste that at all. It's a recipe that can be improved. I understand that these potatoes are something that you want to have staples of in your house, because the thing about this dish is you want to bring it to your friends and family. Maybe the loss was sudden, and you don't have time to prepare. So you want things that you already have in your cupboards and in your freezer that you could just throw together and have a nourishing meal. And that's what this is, really. Funeral food is foods that are comforting and nourishing and get you through hard times. Funeral potatoes. I'm up by the chicken. It's so good. Mise en place for the fudge includes soaked cashews, vanilla, salt, black sesame, maple syrup, coconut oil melted, and a vessel to put it all in. We're going to take our black sesame seeds and we're going to toast them. Now you want to make sure you stand over them as they toast. You don't want them burning. You can't see that they've burned, so you're only going by smell here. Let them cool, and then we're going to be using a spice grinder. I have this one only for spices. I don't use it for coffee. Add your black sesame and process until it's a fine powder. The oils will come through and it'll be a bit clumpy, but that's what you're looking for. Now to a food processor, this is a mini food processor, I'm going to add the powdered black sesame and process just to get the clumps out. Now I'm going to add the coconut oil, and I'm adding it very slowly, a half a tablespoon at a time. You're going to do 3 additions of the coconut oil until it comes to a paste, just like this. That's your black sesame paste. Now it's optional, but you could add a little bit of maple syrup to the paste to make it a little sweeter, which I'm doing simply because the recipe is sweet. Now I'm going to process the cashews. Again, I've soaked those cashews overnight, so they're nice and soft, makes the processing a lot easier. Add that black sesame paste, the maple syrup, and vanilla. Now we didn't have water on the mise en place, but we're going to add about a 1/4 cup and a pinch of salt. Process until it's smooth. Here it is. Black tahini fudge. They could be blacker, And what I would suggest is pick up a bottle of black food coloring. Maybe put 1/8 of a teaspoon into the batter. That'll darken things up. Let's taste. I'm excited about these. Now these are ice cold. I think these guys need to be served right out of the freezer. They are a little bit soft even from the freezer, so bringing them to room temperature, I think they just would be mushy. So let's try. Wow. I could taste. You could taste the toasted sesame seeds. A little bit of the coconut oil. There's almost like a floral flavor in these. It could be the black sesame. See? That's from Frozen. These are very tasty and definitely different. So if you're looking for something that's really unique, has a little bit of a floral flavor, ice cold, refreshing. They almost have like fresh cream finish, if that makes sense. And that could be the cashews. Definitely the cashews. That's what it is. So the cashews bring almost like a cream flavor, and then you have a floral flavor from the black sesame. And yeah, they're just super interesting. For our death card, these are a perfect sweet that's not too sweet, a little more interesting, and will hit the spot. Now you know, the death card does not mean death. Not in the way we think of death. It means endings, yes. It means purging, yes. It means moving on to something better, probably. When the death card comes in a reading, we have to, of course, as always, what's on the other side of it, on this side, on that side. But say you're pulling a 1 card, right? Say you're pulling the death card for your card of the day. You're menu planning around it, like we did today. And it's your focus for the day. What does it mean? I believe that for a day, a major arcana is your consciousness. So this card falls in subconscious. So the idea of when you pull a subconscious line, major, for the day, is that you want to really have your eyes open. You want to see from the inside out. So if it's death as your card, then you want to make sure that you're really focusing on the things that bring you joy, bring you life. What is that? For me, it could mean listening to some really nice music at the end of the day. It could mean cooking a meal. It could mean going for a walk in nature on a beautiful day with no bugs. Think of what really, really makes you light up. And that is what you want to keep constant in your life. All the other drudgery is drudgery. And it's killing you. Really. So think about all the things that you don't like to do. You can't stand. It just, when you do them, or you witness them, or you think about them, it brings your whole emotional status from up here to down here. And if that's something that you're able to eradicate from your life, That's what you need to do. So the day you pull the death card, these are the things you're thinking about. You need to plateau and purge all those things that just don't service you any longer. Hopefully it is something you can take care of pretty quickly. And if not, start to think, how can I either get rid of them, and if that's not, and if you can't get rid of them, if it's something that you just can't do, then you need to have a mindset change. We need to go back to the Hanged Man, and we need to think about all the things that we can let go of metaphorically and bring in or bring back to us in a new state of mind. I'm going to make it very simple. So, as much as I love to cook, I can't stand grocery shopping. But when I go grocery shopping, I have a list. I make it very regime. I know exactly what I need. And I know the stores so well that I know the aisles, so I can get in and get out without a worry. And when I'm driving to the grocery store, I'm starting to think, okay, it's not going to take me very long, which makes me happy. I'm doing a service for others by picking up these particular ingredients. That makes me happy. And the grocery store is quite pleasant to be in. There's nice music playing, you're rolling your little cart, I mean, I'm really stretching it here, but you get the idea, right? I mean, just go for that minuscule thing. What can you change for the better in a teeny tiny way? And that blossoms into a whole different mindset, which we do in the Hanged Man, and then we let go of in death. You can do it. You can also make vampire chicken. And you can make the black tahini fudge. Super yummy. So try the recipes. That's your homework. And we'll see you next week.